The time had come. Jesus had been traveling throughout Galilee, teaching and healing, but the needs were overwhelming. The crowds grew larger each day, and as he had told his disciples, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Now Jesus gathered his 12 closest followers. They had watched him heal the sick, cast out demons, and even raise the dead. They had listened to his teachings about the kingdom of heaven. They had seen the compassion in his eyes when he looked at the crowds. Now it was their turn to participate in his mission. Jesus called them together and gave them authority to drive out impure spirits and to heal every disease and sickness. This was no small gift. He was sharing his own power with them, authorizing them to act as his representatives. The 12 were an unlikely group: fishermen, a tax collector, political zealots, and ordinary working men. Matthew, the former tax collector who was recording these events, listed their names: Simon, called Peter, and his brother Andrew, James and John, the sons of Zebedee, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew, the tax collector, James, son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who would later betray Jesus. Jesus sent these 12 out with specific instructions. Do not go among the Gentiles or enter any town of the Samaritans. Go rather to the lost sheep of Israel. As you go, proclaim this message: the kingdom of heaven has come near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those who have leprosy, drive out demons. Freely you have received, freely give. This first mission would focus on their own people, the lost sheep of Israel. The time would come when the message would spread to Samaritans and Gentiles. But for now, they were to start where they were, with those who shared their heritage and background. Do not get any gold or silver or copper to take with you in your belts, Jesus continued. No bag for the journey or extra shirt or sandals or a staff, for the worker is worth his keep. They were to travel light, trusting in God's provision through the hospitality of those who received their message. This was both a practical instruction and a lesson in faith. They would learn to depend on God for their daily needs. Whatever town or village you enter, search there for some worthy person and stay at their house until you leave. As you enter the home, give it your greeting. If the home is deserving, let your peace rest on it. If it is not, let your peace return to you. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, leave that home or town and shake the dust off your feet. Jesus didn't sugarcoat the reality they would face. Not everyone would welcome them or their message. I am sending you out like sheep among wolves, he warned. Therefore be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves. The disciples exchanged nervous glances. This mixture of wisdom and innocence would be challenging to maintain. Be on your guard, Jesus continued, his voice grave. You will be handed over to the local councils and be flogged in the synagogues. On my account you will be brought before governors and kings as witnesses to them and to the Gentiles. The cost of following Jesus was becoming clearer. This wasn't just a spiritual adventure, but a path that might lead to real suffering. But when they arrest you, do not worry about what to say or how to say it. At that time you will be given what to say, for it will not be you speaking, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. There was comfort in these words. They wouldn't be alone when facing opposition. God himself would give them the words they needed. Jesus' expression grew even more solemn as he continued, Brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child. Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. You will be hated by everyone because of me. but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved." The disciples shifted uncomfortably. These were hard words to hear. When you are persecuted in one place, flee to another. Truly I tell you, you will not finish going through the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes. Then Jesus reminded them of their relationship to him. The student is not above the teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for students to be like their teachers and servants like their masters. If the head of the house has been called Beelzebul, how much more the members of his household? If Jesus himself faced opposition and accusations, they should expect no less. So do not be afraid of them, Jesus encouraged. There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. What I tell you in the dark, speak in the daylight. What is whispered in your ear, proclaim from the roofs. The truth of the kingdom would ultimately triumph, even if it faced resistance at first. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Jesus wanted them to maintain an eternal perspective. Physical threats, while real, were less important than spiritual realities. To illustrate God's care, Jesus pointed to some sparrows fluttering nearby. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground outside your Father's care. And even the very hairs of your head are all numbered, so don't be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows. Despite the warnings of persecution, Jesus was assuring them of God's intimate knowledge and care for each of them. Whoever acknowledges me before others, I will also acknowledge before my Father in heaven. But whoever disowns me before others, I will disown before my Father in heaven. The stakes were high. Their public loyalty to Jesus would determine his acknowledgement of them before God. Do not suppose that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. This statement surely startled the disciples. Wasn't the Messiah supposed to bring peace? Jesus explained, I have come to turn a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies will be the members of his own household. The kingdom Jesus proclaimed would create division, even within families, as some embraced it and others rejected it. Anyone who loves their father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Anyone who loves their son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Whoever does not take up their cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. The call to discipleship demanded supreme loyalty. Even family ties must take second place to commitment to Jesus. But the instructions ended with promise. Anyone who welcomes you welcomes me, and anyone who welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet as a prophet will receive a prophet's reward, and whoever welcomes a righteous person as a righteous person will receive a righteous person's reward. And if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones who is my disciple, truly I tell you, that person will certainly not lose their reward. After Jesus had finished instructing his 12 disciples, they set out, traveling in pairs through the towns and villages of Galilee. They proclaimed the message Jesus had given them. The kingdom of heaven has come near. They healed the sick, cast out demons, and invited people to prepare for the arrival of God's kingdom. For the first time, the message of the kingdom was being multiplied beyond Jesus himself. The disciples were both terrified and exhilarated as they put into practice what they had seen their teacher do. Some towns welcomed them eagerly, others turned them away. They experienced both the joy of seeing people healed through their prayers and the sting of rejection when their message was unwelcome. When they returned to Jesus later, they would have stories to tell, stories of success and failure, acceptance and rejection, courage and fear. But for now, they were taking their first steps as apostles, sent ones, carrying the message of the kingdom to the villages of Israel. And Jesus continued his own ministry, teaching and preaching in the towns of Galilee, knowing that the time was short and that soon the opposition he had warned his disciples about would fall on him most heavily of all.